one day, I went to the mechanic village in Abakaliki. They were complaining of the bad road. I asked them, but you people, do you pay your tax? They say, why should we pay tax? Are we government workers? Tax payment is not for government workers. Tax payment is for everybody.
Tax education and tax enlightenment is our forte on tax matters, and on this episode, it is enlightenment and education all the way. I'm Chamako Hauchi, and I'll be your pilot on this journey as we begin with tax education. Today, we continue with the tax obligations of a limited liability company. As we said in the last installment, the most prominent tax obligation of a limited liability company is company's income tax payable once in a year, 6 months after accounting year end. That is, if your accounting year is January to December, company's income tax is due latest by the 30th of June of the following year. Company's income tax is payable at the rate of 0% for companies with turnover of 25 million naira and below, 20% for companies with turnover of between 25 million naira and 100 million naira, and 30% for the big boys. There are some associated taxes that are filed and paid along with company's income tax. 1. Education tax, which is now 2.5% of assessable profits. 2. National Information Technology Development Agency levy, NITDA, which is 1% of profit before tax and is payable by GSM service providers and all telecommunication companies, cyber companies and internet providers, pension managers and pension-related companies, banks and other financial institutions, and insurance companies with annual turnover of 100 million naira and above. 3. Police Trust Fund, which is 0.005% of net profit of companies operating in Nigeria. 4. National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure levy, NASENI, which is 0.25% of profit before tax payable by companies engaged in banking, telecommunications, ICT, aviation, maritime, oil and gas with turnover of 100 million naira and above. Next episode, we will be guiding you on how to go about fulfilling these all-important tax obligations, what you need to do to prepare for the filing and payment of companies' income tax and the associated taxes.
I'm a very busy man. My business involves a lot of traveling and I interface with lots and lots of people and organizations. Tax compliance used to be a big drag on my business. It was time-consuming and very costly. But now, no more. Introducing the FIRS TaxProMax, the truly fully end-to-end tax administration solution for companies' income tax, value-added tax, petroleum profits tax, and all other tax types. For fast, efficient, and convenient end-to-end tax experience, log on to www.taxpromax.firs.gov.ng. TaxProMax has turned things around for me. It is fast, user-friendly, and cost-effective. FIRS, making tax administration as easy as ABC.
So much is going on at the FIRS, especially in the last couple of years under the leadership of Muhammad Nami, Executive Chairman FIRS, Chairman Joint Tax Board. Sometime in July 2022, we sat down with Executive Chairman FIRS for a chat on activities going on at the FIRS in a kind of media review. We want to share excerpts from that fully loaded interview with you on this episode. In scoring his administration by himself, Mr. Nami anchored everything on his 4 cardinal pillars. Executive Chairman, sir, thank you for joining us on Tax Matters.
Thank you for coming to meet me again in my office. You're welcome.
Thank you, sir. So we are looking at reforms carried out by the service in the last couple of years. Now, please share with us the impact your 4 cardinal pillars have on the performance of the service.
Okay, thank you for that very important question. I think I'll start by reminding ourselves what the four cardinal goals are. The first is to make sure that we make FIRS an institution that is focused on serving customers very well, so that we help them in the course of our work to be able to file their returns seamlessly, get our attention as and when it is required. Number two is to make FIRS an institution with adequate data for tax administration. The data is not just there for FIRS alone, but to aid even government for purpose of planning generally. Number three is to ensure that we make FIRS an institution that take relationship with other stakeholders seriously. Through that relationship, we are able to collaborate with agencies that are not within even the ministry that supervises us, for us to be able to serve our taxpayers better. And the most important one is to rebuild FIRS institution. Having given that background, the impact that has have or is still having on our processes, our performance is enormous. You recall what we did last year, that in 2021, January to December, we recorded tax collection of about 6.4 trillion naira. And out of this 6.4, 31%, only 31% came from oil and gas. The non-oil related tax collection was 69%. The reforms, the goals that we set for us are actually impacting positively in our business and the thing we do at FIRS. If you look at our results from January to June this year, I can confirm to Nigerians that the performance has been in the region of 62% non-oil and 37% 0.8% oil and gas. So this is the huge impact that the reforms is having on our operation. And above all, it will interest Nigerians to know that averagely we have been contributing about 60% of what is shared monthly at FAC. And the month of June, the percentage went up a bit to about 72%.
Very impressive, sir. Now, let's look at the tax to GDP ratio of our country, Nigeria. We know this is low. Now, what are your thoughts on causes and the way forward?
Well, that is a very huge question that we can be discussing for the next 1 hour. But it is unfortunate that as a country with #1 economy in Africa, we find ourselves down there when it comes to tax contribution to the gross domestic product, as GDP of our country. I think there are several reasons that can be attributed to be the cause of this very negative situation. One of it is the administration of personal income tax in Nigeria. It is not being taken seriously. Non-paying adequate attention to personal income tax administration in Nigeria is impacting on whatever we do at the center negatively. Globally, when you are doing calculation of tax to GDP, there are so many tax types that are put into consideration. But the #1 that is always put into consideration and which contributes higher than all other tax types is personal income tax. In our own country, it is nothing to write home about. I was reviewing our Joint Tax Board report only yesterday. I discovered that from January to June, our personal income tax is in the region of 250 billion from the 36 states, whereas our tax collection in a single month was over 1 trillion naira. So if you take what we are doing and comparing it to what the 36 internal revenue services are doing today on the issue of administering the personal income tax, you realize that we have not even started at all. If you go to countries, even the Niger Republic that is our neighbor, you go to Ghana, the #1 tax type that contributes more is personal income tax. If you look at our cities across Nigeria, where you come from, Lagos, if you look at Abuja, the number of billionaires living here, feeding fat on government contract or whatever business government does, the infrastructure that government provide, the social amenity, the security support is given them. In return, nobody pays taxes. So that is the greatest problem we have in this country. And the second one cannot be too far from the first one, is the huge leakage in our tax system. But that huge leakage too is simply because we have fragmented tax system. That is the major cause of the leakage in Nigeria. I haven't done a lot of research. We discovered that, yes, you can deploy technology. Yes, you can carry out all changes in tax law. But in as much as you have a fragmented tax system with multiple tax agencies, then your ability to use one data to collect personal income tax, for instance, your ability to use that same data to collect VAT, your ability to also use that same data to collect company income tax becomes an issue. When you approach a taxpayer or you obtain a taxpayer's record and you come across an income earned by an individual or money paid into an individual account, they will tell you it is not your responsibility. It is that of the other local government tax authority or that of the state. The moment you are faced with this ugly trend, you have seen a source of generating huge tax revenue for your country. But because you do not have that statutory power to do so, you will just see and you have to take off and leave the taxpayer alone because you do not have the power to collect taxes from him. So these are the two key things. Then what is the solution? How do we solve the problem? There's the need for us to deploy technology as a first step. The second one, and the most important one, is that we harmonize our tax administration system.
All right. Now, this is half of the year, July, and the service has a target of 10.4 trillion naira. Are you optimistic of achieving this, and also give us a scorecard of your achievements so far?
We are not there yet, and we are not done with our reconciliation. So far, so good. What we'll be doing, we'll be improving on a daily basis, and that is why I just confirmed to you that even the fact that happened yesterday, of the money you see in the media that has been shared, 72% of it come from the FIRS. So we are making substantial progress, and we are very confident that at the end of the year, we should be able to achieve that target as huge as it is.
Thank you very much, Executive Chairman, sir. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
Muhammad Nami, Executive Chairman, Federal Inland Revenue Service, Chairman, Joint Tax Board, there for you. Our mission on tax matters is to educate and enlighten the good people of Nigeria on their rights, their duties, and their obligations under the various tax laws. In this, we work hand in hand with the revenue authorities, especially the Federal Inland Revenue Service and, of course, the Joint Tax Board. On Wednesday, 31st August 2022, the Alaba Micro and Small Tax Office of the FIRS organized its inaugural tax sensitization and awareness workshop for Alaba and Badagry tax jurisdictions in Lagos State. For the FIRS, its relationship with taxpayers and indeed all other stakeholders is predicated on the principle of give and take, as revealed by the Executive Chairman in his speech delivered on his behalf by Mrs. Muhammad Nami, State Coordinator, Lagos Mainland West of the FIRS.
As a demonstration of our collective approach, FIRS is building a secretariat for the business community at the Alaba International Market. It has been approved and we have started work. We intend to do more in this regard in the near future as our relationship grows. The minimum that is required of you is to pay your taxes promptly and correctly. This sensitization meeting is an opportunity to obtain feedback from you and engage on how we can work together to attain a positive socio-economic transformation for the benefit of all Nigerians.
Chairman of session was Mazi M.A.C. Dike.
For what purpose do I pay tax? Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes, a justice of the United States Supreme Court, wrote, "Tax is the price we pay for a civilized society."
The lead paper was presented by Mr. Kabiru Abba, Group Lead General Tax Operations Group at the FIRS, who spoke on the rights and obligations of taxpayers. Mr. Nnanna Ikwo of the Technical Department of the FIRS spoke on the rights of taxpayers with regards to the self-assessment tax regime.
The self-assessment regulation 2011 gave enormous responsibility to the taxpayer. What does self-assessment means? Self-assessment says you are the one that did the business. You are the one that is the taxpayer. You are the one that had the transaction and had the documentation. We are giving you the responsibility to maintain your record, prepare your returns, pay your tax, and file your return to the tax authority. What does it mean? It means you are the first in the line of tax payment. What is the tax authority doing? The tax authority is only collecting what you have submitted to them. But remember, to whom much is given, much is also expected. You are given a responsibility. It's a responsibility of trust. It's a responsibility given to you with the understanding that you do exactly what you are supposed to do. What is then the role of the tax authority? The tax authority, the FIRS, were not there when you prepared the return. What you prepare represents what you said you did. The FIRS has the responsibility to check what you prepared, whether it represents exactly what you did. FIRS also has a responsibility to check the records, to what you have filed against your record, whether it corresponds to what you filed to the service. Ordinarily, what you file should represent everything you have done, but it seems in most cases not to be the same thing. So FIRS will now come back and check what you have done. And when they check it and find you wanting, FIRS also has a responsibility given to it by the same law that gave you the responsibility to file your self-assessment return to reassess you and give you additional tax liabilities, which is the one most of you don't want to hear, but you cannot avoid it. The only way you can avoid it is assess yourself correctly and then pay the right taxes so that there will be no additional tax liability.
The second paper on understanding tax types and tax authorities was presented by Mr. Olusegun Amusu of the LRS.
All this while we have been discussing about federal laws, federal taxes and whatever. Now we just want to discuss a little about the state. The state internal revenue service throughout the federation have their own taxes that they don't dabble into federal taxes and why they don't dabble into local government taxes. People often complain, why taxes? Some people even complain when they are charged for one offense or the other. They will say taxes is too much in Lagos, taxes is too much. Forgetting that taxes is even different from charges and levies. They are not the same. That's what we should put at the back of our mind. Okay, in the state laws, we have our own taxes. PIT, which has to do with pay as you earn. The moment your salary is given, you know very well, those of us, our taxes must have deducted at source. Our taxes has been deducted at source, and we know that taxes is a function. It's a function of profits and income. Income for those of us under paid employment, while profits for those of us engaging in businesses. We have withholding tax on individuals. Business so far transacted individually, some percentage has to be deducted from it. It ranges from 5 to 10, depending on the types of businesses and the type of withholding tax you engaged in. If it is a consultancy, whatever, all other withholding tax, it is stated there. Your law, your percentage you have to be paid is there. We also capital gain tax for individual businesses only, not on company income tax. Any businesses engaged in, like they said, fixed assets. If it's for personal something and not for company, capital gain is charged, which is 10%. It's not much from the gain so far received from all those things. So stamp duties for every other thing did in Lagos State or in any other state of the Federation.
Next was a presentation on deepening taxpayers' compliance with ease, TaxProMax experience, presented by Mrs. Uwem Albata of the FIRS. There were goodwill messages from sectoral heads of the Alaba International Amalgamated Traders Association, as well as representatives of groups present at the workshop.
I want to tell you that Alaba International businessmen are law-abiding citizens, and we are ready to pay our tax. But yes, we are ready to pay our tax, and we have started it, and we are doing it. But we need more sensitization in that Alaba International market. We are the leaders. I can see some of the chairmen of Alaba International market present here. Alaba is fully represented here. I'm happy about that. The sectional chairmen are here. You can see them here, comprising about 16 sections. The chairmen are here. Alaba is fully represented. But I would like you to bring more of this sensitization to the doorstep of our members inside Alaba International market. We will assist you to do that whenever you call on us.
The FIRS in Alaba, I would say they are too far to those in Badagry. So we implore them to please be more closer to those in Badagry, most especially the hoteliers. And so many things are happening to the hoteliers, just like the representative of the Pasima has said, the tax brought to the hoteliers at times are too much. So workshops like this, seminars, can sensitize us, and we are ready to pay it. We are ready to do what we are supposed to do. We also implore the government to do what they are supposed to do, especially to the hoteliers in Badagry.
You said Alaba Michael will pay its taxes and do what is right if the government does what is right. I'm going to take this straight to my EC. I quite commend you, and I can assure you we will surely do what is right. Thank you very much. The good news, sir, you know, in my presentation, I made mention of the fact that we're going to have some satellite offices. Badagry is one of such offices. I think in the next couple of weeks, we're just waiting for furniture. So we're going to have an office in Badagry, and that is going to address your needs. And I can assure you, I'm going to lead the team to commission that office. And I'm not going to forget. I'll make sure I invite you so that from the onset, we begin to have this synergy with our office and, you know, the association in Badagry.
In an interview with Mrs. Cecilia Odipo, Tax Controller Alaba Micro and Small Tax Office, she spoke on the raison d'etre for the program.
Ma, what's the idea behind this workshop?
The idea behind this workshop is to create awareness, sensitize them, the taxpayers. The regime we are is on voluntary compliance. We want to encourage them. We want to pamper them. In FRS, we believe that the taxpayers are our king. And as king and tax administrators that we are, we need to talk. We need to engage ourselves. There should be communication. And our chairman, FRS, has said communication is part of his own agenda. So we need to propagate that one to the taxpayer. So we need to communicate with them. They need to know what we stand for, and we also need to know what their feelings are. So it's a kind of getting a feedback.
Were your expectations met?
Yes. Going by the questions that were asked and the turnouts, I'm impressed. I was very happy when I saw a lot of people coming. We have over 300 participants coming in today to listen to us. They said information is powerful. So when you are not informed about anything, so you don't know what to really do. So if we want them to comply, we need to educate them. That's why we came.
Boy, did we have fun? You can bet we did. When it comes to enlightenment and education, that was the event. So we tell you what, very soon we'll bring you the seminal presentation of Mrs. Uwem on TaxProMax and the highly stimulating interactive session. Thank you for watching. See you next week.